There's so many unanswered questions as we sit here still speculating. It's unbelievable. Even though we have some firm results that were announced last night, we're still sitting and speculating as to what's going to happen going forward. Because we do know now that the president of the ANC is Cyril Ramaphosa. But what happens to a politician like Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma, a woman that has dedicated her life to politics, and she's done an exceptionally good job, and I don't think anybody can take that away from her. Lebohang, I mean, where does she go from here? Because she lost out at that top position. You know, she's been the chairperson of the AU, she's been in various positions within the ANC, she's been ministers in strong portfolios. Where does she go?
Well, I mean, I think, yeah, what do you do with a former politician, a former leader? I think that's also a dilemma that lots of countries need to contend with. And I think for her, the best way, in my opinion, would be out of the mainstream foray of the political mainstream and perhaps into some ceremonial role. I'm sure there'll be board memberships awaiting, or some ceremonial VC, vice chancellorship or something awaiting. And I think also in a substantive way, if she has the content and the stamina for that, she could really perhaps throw her weight behind explicitly helping to mentor younger people into leadership. That would be something that possibly...
Could she become a minister again?
Isn't that a sideways or backwards move? I think out is more dignified, but you can never tell with politics. You never know. Perhaps she might want to lurk around in the background. I'm not sure if she's got the appetite for it.
I also want to talk about that prospect of a recall of President Jacob Zuma. Every single person I've spoken to this morning, whether it be Tokyo Sekwala, whether it be the deputy editor of the Financial Mail, Sekonati, talking to the same thing, as well as Labour, SACP, Solly Mapaile, all saying that President Jacob Zuma is not going to be delivering the State of the Nation address come next year, February.
We'll see.
All right, we see. So what will happen? Who will be the interim president? How will that happen if he is recalled? If
the interim president, of course, would be ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa. And I mean,
would he take that position? Because he would take that inevitably in 2019 if they win.
Well, of course, inevitably he would. This is where he needs a show of strength. If he had a slightly different team around him, even a different deputy, it would have been far easier for him. There'd been more wiggle room for him to maneuver his way through demanding that the state president vacate the position, and come January we see something completely different. That would also show that he's distinguishing himself. He has a very difficult balance of forces around him to contend with, and that space is narrower. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Just finally, as we close up this broadcast, again, I want to bring women's issues to the fore. I'm very passionate about this because I think that it was a great failure, and we have spoken about it, but I'll speak about it again now because I bring it up on the announcement now. I just saw an announcement saying that the Women's League are going to be having a press conference at 10 o'clock. The Women's League have disappointed. They really have. I don't know if they are... What are they fighting for? Because I'm not sure it's for women and the rights of women. Because they were keen supporters of President Jacob Zuma and hence a supporter of Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma.
Exactly.
They never supported any other woman candidate.
Well, it hasn't been... Well, this is the same formation which not long ago was saying that South Africa isn't even ready for a woman, for a woman president. I mean, that's just a fractious... really slightly time-wasting, and missed opportunity to articulate a really bold, substantive, intellectually and movement-grounded idea, a vision of what women's citizenship could look like in this country, the opportunity to formulate and influence policy formulation, so that it is centered, it is women-centered, not just gender mainstream, which is a completely different thing, but women-centric. I mean, they haven't done any of that for a long time. They've been dancing around courtrooms and babysitting President Zuma for the last 10 or 15 years. It's extremely unfortunate, and I wonder again, the women on the ground, the women who sacrifice in many ways to, pay their dues and try to support this formation. in numbers consistently, even across generations, I think it does them a great disservice as well.
All right, Lebohang, we'll leave it there. Thank you for being with us so
Thank you
bright
very
and
much.
early this morning and late yesterday. It never ends. Thank you for being with us. Lebohang Pheko, a political analyst, talking to us about the morning after, the night before. There's a question, however, I need to ask, which I haven't asked yet. Where were those 68 delegates that were meant to vote? They just didn't pitch up. Were they sleeping?
Made all the difference.
Did they go out? Were they partying? I don't know. Those votes could have caused a very different result today as we sit here. Anyway, that's a thought I leave you with this morning. Have a beautiful day, everyone. This broadcast will continue throughout the